So, hi everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of SEPA Paranormal Chronicles. Today, I am overexcited to be having the girls from Beyond the Haunting, and the better known from the girls from History Most Haunted, Leanne and Corine. Welcome both.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, this is exciting.
I say, trust me, I've been told by my wife I'm not allowed to fanboy. Trust me, but this is a thing today. I don't normally do this, but with you guys, like, oh my god!
Well, you've seen the show.
Yeah,
I have, and I don't know if you saw Corine, but I put a comment when it was announced that he was going to Ireland next year. I actually put a comment saying that if you want a translator,
that was you.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to come, I know there's still some spots left. So yes, let's see what we can do.
Well, the wife went to Japan by herself last year, so she says if you want to go to Ireland with Corine, like just let me know and I'll pay for the flight. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you might be seeing me.
Sounds good. Sweet. We'll touch base.
Oh, for sure, and have a couple of beers. Sounds like a plan.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So let's crack on. So I know it's been said by both of you in the TV shows that you started having your abilities at a very early age. So can you kind of tell me how that came about and sort of like the problems that you both went through when you started experiencing your abilities?
Yeah, I can start with that one. Yeah, I'm the older sister, so Leanne's my little sister. And when I was 3, it's kind of a longer story, but when I was 3 years old, I was in a car accident with our grandmother, and it was pretty bad. And she had gotten pulled under the car outside. She'd fallen out, gotten dragged under, and we were going pretty fast down this hill, and we crashed into this ditch. And that was the first time I remember. I didn't have a seatbelt on. It was like the early 80s. I guess she cut them out or something. I don't know. And I was in the back seat, and I ended up in the front seat. And I remember looking up, like when I came to, I remember looking up, seeing my grandmother looking into the car completely. I thought she was dead. And then I was panicking. And all of a sudden I heard this man's voice. And I turned, and there was somehow this man in a plaid shirt sitting kind of next to me in the car, which didn't make sense because he wasn't really there. As a 3-year-old, I couldn't process. So I remember, long story short, when I got home from the hospital, I got home that night. I remember telling my parents, like, who's that guy in the plaid shirt? He's in our house now. Like, he's in our bedroom door. And I just kept seeing this plaid shirt guy. Back to the doctor I'd go, and then I'd see other people. And then, it was to the point where I'm like, well, he's saying, like, this person's going to pass away tomorrow. And I'd get in trouble for saying that. And then we get the call next day that someone was that they had passed away. So I have had these experiences since I was young. And it turned out that, we found out later on that it was our biological grandfather who had passed away when our dad was very young. And from that moment of 3 years old, our grandma did survive. She lived into her 90s. I didn't really drive with her again, but I had those experiences the whole time. And so by the time I was I think it was 8, 9 years old, obviously our parents were concerned. And so I remember I was tested for, schizophrenia, for brain tumors. I was tested for all these medical things just to see what was going on. And when they all came back fine, I just learned to kind of be quiet and not share everything I was experiencing, thinking like there's obviously something wrong with me if no one else can see these things. But then enter Leanne, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing her, and I'm like, wait a minute, and I'll let her tell her part.
Yeah, so we shared a room as kids, and I would start seeing shadow things and lights. So we created this game called Spot the Spirit that we played I was very young, and it was a way to
test.
Yeah, it was a way to test ourselves and practice and work the muscle of the paranormal. But Corine from that moment on kept quiet about it because of all that testing and the trauma and everything she went through. But I was the kid where I was telling everyone, I was talking about it at school. I just shouted it from the rooftops and was so happy for anybody to engage in conversation. I was the weird kid talking about this stuff. So I didn't say I had problems, because by the time Corine paved the way, and by the time I came along, my parents were whatever,
You're welcome.
Yeah. So Corinne, did you kind of like coach Leanne into like recognizing all these spirits?
I was at first so shocked that somebody else could see what I was seeing that I was like, okay, that's where Spot the Spirit came from. I'm like, well, where is it now? Like, what did it look like? Like, and so when she was younger, it was like a game, right? So yeah, and when she started to realize, and when she started, there was one time I remember she saw something at our uncle's house that I remember. I don't even know if you remember, you were pretty young. And I remember I saw this woman walk through the living room clear as day. And I remember it was a neighbor from down the road who had passed away. And all of a sudden, Leanne's like watching too. And I'm like, wait a minute. So it was things like that where I'm like, okay, what are you seeing? Like, where is it? And so I would test her and kind of guide her like, yeah, it's not going to hurt you, but who is it? And what are they? Can you hear it? Can you see it? Where is it? And from there, she was kind of like my, I don't know, it's like my rock at some point in the paranormal world. Cause it was like, okay, well, someone else does have that ability. So what is it? And that's where my curiosity really spiked, because it went from me going, well, am I losing it? Like, what's wrong with me? To wait a minute, someone else can experience this. And
right.
like Leanne, like she said, she was telling everybody. I remember in elementary school, the stories that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And by the time she met Kelly, it was like, well, here we go.
Yeah. So it's really weird because my first experience with the paranormal, I was a paramedic in the UK, and I'm working with a new colleague because my regular colleague was off sick, get called to a cardiac arrest.
Oh, wow.
So we're doing CPR, and this guy that I've only met him that night is going, the spirit's telling me that you can stop doing CPR because he's not coming back. And I'm like, excuse me, dude? What? What? And he goes, yeah, the spirit stood behind you. That, yeah, it's his time. It's not. And I'm like, okay, well, with all due respect, can you please tell him I need to do my job? And then afterwards, it's like, dude, you can't throw that on me in the middle of a cardiac arrest. Yeah, you could have told me afterwards.
That's
and it's like,
yeah,
and it's
wild.
like, oh, okay, what did I just experience? And it's like, oh, I'm quizzing this guy for the rest of the night. If there's any other spirits near me, you must let me know, because like I've got a job to do. I've got like a legal right. And it's like, we're okay. There's none present. So the fact that you had to hide it, and the fact that this guy just like throws it straight onto me, I'm like, dude, come on.
That would have been me as a paramedic.
Yeah. So it's really funny that one of the questions that I actually had was like, who was the best at spot the spirit? But you kind of answered that question for me already.
I don't think she failed once. So yeah.
So you say that it started at a very early age. So when would you say that you really got comfortable knowing what you know and knowing that you weren't going crazy for both of you?
Well, for me, it was, that's a hard question. So I've had it's like a roller coaster for me. So by the time I was 16, when we found out that it was our grandfather in the plaid shirt, that to me was kind of the moment where I'm like, okay, this is real. That is who I've seen for my whole life. There's something going on. So at that point, I kind of became comfortable, like in my own sense, to investigate what that was. So I read everything. I watched every show. I was secretly reading all these books every night and trying to figure out what was going on. But then I was also, a young adult. I wanted to, get into a career. And, I just remember my parents going, you don't tell people, like that's a little strange. So, I became a high school history teacher, and there's no way I was going to be telling anyone in my career. So I kept it quiet, and I really didn't, I would say, we started the company, 2016-ish? So I would say it was probably like 2010, 2011 that I really became serious, and then we really just like full out. Now everybody knows, and yeah, so it's been a journey for me. That's
yeah.
What about yourself, Leanne?
So for me, like growing up, I don't see and sense things exactly like Corine. Like I don't see people as clear, and I don't have the medium ability, but I like see different things, sense different things. It's more like premonitions and knowing with me. So when like things would start to happen that I like instantly had sensed or knew about the day before, then I was like, okay, there's something to this for sure. And then it's kind of funny because like I went kind of the corporate route, and I remember being in boardrooms, like corporate boardrooms, and like I would use paranormal as like my icebreaker stuff, and like you know, like just tell everybody. And I was like ridiculed, like in a funny, like, haha, Leanne, whatever kind of way. But I wasn't afraid to talk about it and like share experiences. And then people would kind of come to me off the side and, you know, share their story or whatever.
And that's really interesting because we had an investigation a couple of weeks ago, and it was the first time that I'd ever worked with a medium. She actually came over from Cleveland because we're obviously in Canada. But that's one thing that I'm always intrigued about people that have abilities is I want to experience what you guys experience. So if you guys can explain to me and explain to the listeners, what happens when you see, when you feel, when you sense, when you hear, because obviously it's different for both of you. So I'll be interested to know exactly, what visions you see or what you hear and how the spirits come across to communicate with you.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny, like you said, like just even between me, Leanne, and Kelly, where we experience things so differently. And I've talked to so many psychics and mediums and psychic mediums and empaths and everything. And it seems that they're all slightly different, but it's almost like we have to fine tune our own gifts and skill sets. But for me, it's always been a couple different ways. So I guess the best way to articulate it would be if I walk into a space and and they say it's like a haunted building, I will usually be able to see them quite clearly. But I never, for whatever reason, I can never really see them from the knees down usually. So it's almost like they're kind of visually there, but see-through and transparent and kind of just hovering in the space or moving through the space slowly. To me, that's a ghost. They're there. They're still haunting the building. If a spirit who has passed and fully crossed over comes through, it's almost like I feel them behind me first. And then I've often said that it's, those old, like 1920s, like the old school movie reels, the black and white reels. It's kind of like that. And it's right here in my left peripheral vision. And it's flashing images constantly. And then I'm hearing things out of my left ear. And I'm always trying to figure out who's here with me. So it's almost like they come through on another kind of like energetic level, sharing energy, sharing images, sharing like senses and smells and whatever they can to get my attention. And then once I've dialed it in and kind of figured out who it is, then I can get a picture of who they are. And sometimes I can see them, sometimes I can feel them. So to me, that's more of someone who's fully crossed, wherever that might be. And they come back with messages to relay, as opposed to someone who's like still clearly in that space having whatever situation they're in. So that's kind of for me.
Okay, Leanne?
Yeah, and like in that situation, when we walk into a room, it's very funny also how we kind of amplify each other's abilities or complement them. So like I'll walk into a room and I won't see like a person's face or whatever. I'll see like a shadow and I'll be drawn to a space. And I can't really explain it. Like energetically, I feel like I have to go to that corner or I have to go to that part. Like that's where they are. And when I get there, sometimes like I will get one name like really strong or male, female or something. So I'll be like, I feel like there's a man here. And then Corine like tunes in. Yep, it's Joe. Like this is like his story. And then Kelly starts feeling what, like it just is amazing how we all kind of go through that motion. But for me, it's also just being more confident in when I get something, saying it, because like that sense of knowing is hard to just be like blurred out because you don't want to be wrong or you don't want to just say it because you think it.
But surely with all three of you being together and all three you've got your separate abilities, for you to blurt it out shouldn't be so much of a discomfort for you now because you know that the other girls are experiencing similar kind of things.
Yeah, like that's the beauty of doing this for so long together and working together is like it's different now, where before it's kind of like, oh, I don't know why the name Mary is like constantly in my head and maybe I should say that or something.
Yeah.
And I think it's good too because now speaking to that point, like when the three of us are together, I joke that like I don't seem to think I do this, but Leanne and Kelly are like, oh, she's got something. And apparently, I'm like, what? And so apparently I have signs that it starts. So I don't know.
Your like eye will twitch, your like lip will twitch, you're like tapping.
So and you're thinking, they know before I do.
And you're thinking, I can't take her anywhere.
Exactly. Ask my husband, he feels the same.
Yeah. So talking about that though, sort of like is it something that you can switch off like a light switch? So, or yeah, how do you kind of deal with a day-to-day basis? Like, yeah, if you're in your school classroom, do you have somebody at the back of the room going, "When you've got a minute, Corine, can I speak to you?"
You know what? There are days.
Yeah.
Great question. I think for myself, because I was from such a young age, I was told it wasn't real, and that was such a defining childhood thing for me. I'm so like, nope, I'm wrong. It's over. Block it down, shut it down. And I can shut it down very easily. But now being fully open, it's like, whoa, I've got to like take some time here. Cause you're right. There have been like high schools are something else. They're special places, and the energy of those places can be a lot. You know, with colleagues and stuff too, I've had certain times where I didn't think I could keep my, professional life and my paranormal life separate in those spaces where, I've had times where I was in the middle of a lesson and I'm writing things on the whiteboard and I got the whole class engaged, and I'll turn around and, I see it was my husband's grandmother standing in the back of the classroom. I'm like, oh my God, like I gotta go. And then sure enough, she had passed away and I was pulling in the hospital, and, and then other times where I have colleagues that had something happen and I just knew, and they were like, how did you know that? I'm like, lucky guess. So there's been students who have had, loved ones come through and I know they're there, but it's my rule. I won't bring that up at school. Yeah. So like they're there and I've seen them and they can be very distracting, but yeah, I've been getting really good at shutting that down in situations where it's not appropriate for my whatever situation, I guess. Yeah.
Sort of like getting ready to go out, I'm just going to jump in the shower. Like,
oh, I've never had that. So that's, thank God.
Oh my God, that's very like shining. Yeah.
So Leanne, can you sort of like ignore it or switch off the same, or?
Yeah, it's a lot easier for me because the spirits don't harass me like they do Corine. But like the odd time out of nowhere, like I could get like a quick flash image or something that's like powerful, and like you kind of know it means something because it lands different. So like I'll have to tell my husband, or I'll tell someone like, I think this is gonna happen, just so you know, or whatever. But yeah, it's a little different.
So for both of you, if you feel like one of the presence is going to speak to you and you feel it's something important, do you kind of tell your nearest and dearest, I'm going to need 5 minutes, I need to deal with this, or do you wait until it's a more appropriate time?
I think it depends on the situation. I know that I've been out with friends and I'm like, I'm sorry, we're in the middle of a party, but there's that guy over there, I gotta go talk to him. Like, if you ask some of my friends, they're like, really, at my birthday party? I'm like, I'm sorry, but like the person's wife had passed away. I went over, she was really annoying me and I just couldn't let it go until I told the message. So sorry. And then they're like, oh, okay. But yeah, it just depends.
Yeah, just this once.
Yeah, exactly.
So obviously you joined forces with Kelly, that unfortunately can't be here today. And I really was tempted to get a cardboard cutout of Kelly so that she could join us.
That's amazing.
That would have been like, the wife went, did you get your cutout? And I went, no, I forgot to get it. But sort of like, so when you three kind of came together and Beyond the Haunting was created, how did that kind of happen? Because for SEPA, me and my two colleagues, we went to apply a public investigation, not knowing each other. We met for that particular evening. They'd got a couple of toys that they were playing with. I went, I need to speak to you guys, because I was with a group that wasn't very active. And then 2 weeks later, met in a bar with a notebook, a couple of beers, and SEPA was created. So how was Beyond the Haunting created for you guys?
Good question.
It was organic. Like, I remember we would just naturally investigate places, and Corine's always been interested in the gear and had a ton of gear, like right off the bat. And so we're like, we should just go do this. And like, we'd start going to places like all over BC, and then we traveled, farther than that. And then we just thought, like, no one's doing this. Like, we should do this, like, as a company, as a business. And in the beginning, we thought maybe more events, but then we just thought, it's mostly for ourselves at this point to like, go down those rabbit holes and try to find all the information we can and try to get evidence. But the show itself came out of, it was actually like kind of COVID, because all the film festivals were online. And we had been working with the BC like Tourism Association on like the haunted gold rush idea, because we thought, we want to feature the BC gold rush. We all live along it at some point, like it's a part of BC's history, like let's do this. And yeah, like it just kind of, it landed perfectly. Like we pitched it during the Banff Film Festival, and T&E loved it, so we just kind of went from there.
That's cool. So like, yeah, that's kind of our dream over here, but we know that there's been so much of the market being flooded with so many different shows that I think we need to be a little bit more established, because we've only been together like a year. So, but like, the way that you guys kind of had your pilot, and then you had sort of like your next one, and then you got History Most Haunted. So how did it come from pitching your pilot episode to then get 6 episodes of History Most Haunted?
It was really fast. I think like we I know that like Leanne said, we started it all, and we were doing it kind of for our own curiosity, really. And then we realized, like, when we got, like she said, the tourism stuff and the Gold Rush, Haunted Gold Rush came out as a documentary. I don't think people had seen an all-female team on TV. I think we wrapped the Gold Rush pretty quickly, and then like within a couple months, even weeks, we were told that we had an opportunity for the series, and it was just kind of like, wow, okay, here we go. So yeah, it happened very quickly. I don't really remember all the details, but it was a quick turnaround before they greenlit the series for sure.
So did you guys have any voting options of what places to visit? Did you have any choice in that, or was these locations picked for you?
We gave a list of our like bucket list locations, and then like threw one out like, hey, let's try. And then I think they picked the final locations and then told us we were going to like Montreal. We're going to San Antonio. We're going here. We're like, cool.
I was going to say bucket list, and yeah, let's say Montreal winter, Belle Island in the winter. It's sort of like,
not on my bucket list.
Oh my god, Belle Island was so cold. I know we talked about that a lot, but I rewatched it recently and I was laughing so hard because like we look so cold.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah. So if you had to pick a favorite location of the 6 episodes, which one would you say is your favorite? And obviously it's not Belle Island because it was too cold.
Well, ironically, it actually is one of my favorites, though, because like it changes by the day. Every time I rethink about one, I'm like, oh, that was cool too, or oh, we just watched this one again. I would say, honestly, Belle Island and Charleston, South Carolina were 2 big ones for me. Belle Island because it was just so powerful in that underground mine, like that was a submarine mine or whatever they call it, the iron ore mine under the ocean. That was like, I've only been overwhelmed like that maybe twice, maybe 3 times like that I can remember. And it was like, I just felt like I should not be down there. It's like, get out of here. You're not welcome here. Leave. And I was like, why is that? Like, what the heck? And it wasn't until afterwards that our local camera operator that was with us, he's like, it was bad luck for women to be in the mines. So that makes total sense. I'm like, well, that would have been nice to know. Like, I felt like, why am I feeling so like, get out of here? So that one was kind of powerful just because of the energy down there. And then Charleston, I was getting dreams. I was getting like this image in my head. I was getting all these things for weeks before, which was kind of a new thing for me. Like sometimes you get things, but like you figure it out earlier. And this one just kept, and it was like, yeah, I was pretty emotional in the Charleston episode. So when it all connected, I was like, holy.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like say, and the fact that it's kind of like joining the dots.
Yeah.
Of a dot to dot, and then you've got the result at the end.
Yeah, totally.
So Leanne, your favorite?
I know I always like switch it up, but I still go back to like Salem for me is so powerful because like, I always try to explain to my friends or family about Salem and how like, you guys, they sent in 3 women with abilities to talk to these women who were like misjudged and like had these crazy injustices. So like even the concept of that I found pretty mind-blowing. And when we were walking the memorial site and looking at all the names and dates, like that stuck with me. I can remember every second walking that whole thing.
Yeah, I know the fact that even though 2 of the episodes were in Canada, I have to say Salem was pretty much one of my one of my favorites because of the barbaric situation that a lot of people are in. And if you guys were around back then, you'd probably be on that memorial as well.
That was not lost on us. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But a lot of those women too were just like powerful women with like opinions or land or whatever, like, so it was very interesting.
That's great. So overall, you've been investigating for a few years now. You created Beyond the Haunting. You managed to get a couple of TV shows. What would you say is your most prolific paranormal experience? Doesn't have to be on the show, but overall your entire career. What stands out the most? And if I keep asking too many good questions, I do apologize.
No, it makes me think it's good.
Like for me, just because of what was happening at that moment, one time we were at the Washoe Club in Virginia City, Nevada. Have you been there, Lee?
I have not, no.
Okay. Oh, you should.
Yeah, so it was just this moment of Corine being so overwhelmed and watching her go through this and me feeling stuff and knowing how many presences were around us trying to communicate with us was so overwhelming. And this is like an abandoned 9,000 square foot building with no power. This is gold for ghost investigating. But like that sticks with me just because of how actually that was the first time I was fully terrified, I think. Just like pure fear, like because we had to get Corine out of the building and then obviously I had to go back in by myself and get all the gear.
Sorry, Leanne.
So,
yeah.
It was just like trying to interact and navigate that space like stands out to me.
Yeah. The youngest sibling's always the one that can be
I'm done.
Leanne. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think one of the reasons we went to Virginia City in Nevada was because we had seen so much of that on TV over the years. And, I think some of the big shows got their starts by going there. We're like, well, it can't be that haunted. Like, we've been to tons of haunted places. Like, how haunted can the place be? Wow. Yeah, we went in. That was surprising. I don't know. I think, like Leanne said, I think that was the first time we went in not really knowing what to expect. And then we had stayed in, like, the Silver Queen Hotel. And we were just, for the whole time we were there, we were just immersed in all these haunted places. And by the time we got to our investigation overnight, that building had I've never been I almost felt, it sounds weird, but like rushed by so many energies. I was seeing things and it was just like, I was shaking uncontrollably. Like I couldn't process. I don't even think I could speak properly. Like Leanne and...
No, we had to hand you a pen because you had to start writing everything because you couldn't talk.
Yeah, I couldn't speak. I was writing everything frantically. I think you guys pulled me out. I remember sitting in the car, just still writing. And then the ovilist is going, teacher. I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm busy. It was crazy. And then the next day I actually felt bad about sending Leanne and I was sitting in the car with a giant flashlight trying to help. But it was overwhelmingly terrifying. And then when the owners and managers were confirming things the next morning, and we went to the cemetery to confirm certain names, I was like, this is real. Like, holy. Yeah. So yeah, that was a big
kind of reminds me of the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Whoopi Goldberg, and she's got all these people and she tells them to leave and they all dissipate out the walls.
Yeah. This time they all came through the walls in. They were all there. It was a lot.
So but you mentioned that you were...
Oh, sorry.
Okay, no, it's okay.
That was early on too. So like Corine, like when we were at that, it just made me realize like that was probably 10 years ago now at least. And it made me realize, oh yeah, okay, this is real. Now I'm even more fascinated. Like the fact these things can happen, like let's keep going.
It must be really nice too, now that you now know what you didn't know 10 years ago, that now if you get a really good investigation, that it's something you can get your teeth into. And the fact that you've got all three of you together with different abilities, you know that you can work together and you can get the product done, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also kind of fascinating too, because I was talking, I can't remember to whom about it, but it was like for so long in my own mind, it was like you could either be a paranormal investigator or a psychic and medium. Like And I never, for whatever reason, until like, after 2010, I'm like, why don't we merge those two? Wouldn't that make more sense? Like, I don't know why that didn't click for me. And so going in now, the reason, like Leanne mentioned, I had all this gear before we even started the company was because it was almost, I'm like, if this equipment is paranormal tools are supposed to actually do what they do, then maybe it can help prove to me that what I'm seeing is actually there. And so, I'd buy the SLS camera, I'd get the Ovilus, I'd get every single piece of equipment, like the EVP recorder, everything. And when I had it all and it was validating what we had, it was like, wow, like that's something. And so when we started going to like Virginia City and all these places, it was almost, again, it's that validation for us. And when we talk to clients or we go into places and, we connect with whoever's had the experience and they're like blown away by what we've captured because it connects. That's, I think, the most real for me, because it's, again, validating everything we've experienced and connecting, like you said, those dots of the puzzle to show kind of the bigger piece, right? So, yeah, I think we've come a long way over the last 10, 15 years. And, it's fun when the three of us are together, that's for sure.
So do you find that if for whatever reason only two of you can go to an investigation, do you find that the scenario is different rather than when all three of you are together as a team?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I say so. And just the way, like, unfortunately right now we're geographically spread out where we live a little bit. So it's, it's getting a bit harder. So, but when we have traditionally, like I'd say it's a bit different. Like you're kind of missing one element of it too.
Yeah, sure. Because with regard to us, there's three of us and we're all guys. We've only got one Canadian. The other guy's got a Brazilian background, and I'm obviously from England. But it's quite funny how I buy the baseline observation stuff. So I've got the tri-field, I've got the black mold detector, the radiation detector, the anemometer. So I buy all the scientific stuff, so to speak, where my colleague Logan just goes, oh, that looks nice and shiny, I'm going to buy one of those. And he'll just buy it because it looks cool. Right. Whereas so we both kind of separate with what we buy. He's the guy that's got the degree in filming and audio, so he gets all the cameras and that kind of stuff. And like I say, I get the technical stuff. And we always keep it apart. No, you're not allowed to buy technical stuff because that's me.
Nice.
So when you
like
go, I say, we are having fun. There's a radio show that's in your neck of the woods, Spaced Out Radio.
Oh, yeah, Dave Scott.
Which I'm actually going to be on a week on Wednesday.
Nice.
Oh, cool. Nice.
But
Say hi to Dave.
Think about it though. Time difference.
Yeah,
it's midnight in Ottawa, so it's like it's a school night. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to like do an interview at midnight.
Well, so he was on our Haunted Gold Rush documentary actually. So yeah, you should ask me about it.
Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, I'll definitely bring that up. Oh right, I've got it. Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah. So going back to the investigations, when you've had such a let's call it a stressful evening, so to speak, and you feel drained, how do you decompress afterwards? Does it involve alcohol or?
Yeah, no, I'm tired for that. For me, I know that it was Kelly that actually got us into it more, and she made sense, and she was always like, we leave it behind. And so before we leave, we all individually make a point of, whatever's here stays here. You're not welcome to come with us. And I just personally, I need to, and it sounds weird, but when I'm connecting, like my hands get really swollen and warm and hot. And I'm like, it's almost like I talk with my hands a lot too. So I guess that's part of it. But I always have to come home and like either have a shower, wash my hands, and just like decompress. Like I just have to have quiet time because it's just so much energy you have to process and unpack. And I just need that quiet space afterwards to like focus on me again and ground myself.
Well, and usually they're like crazy late nights, so I have zero problem sleeping. That's actually also my superpower. so I can just go like right to bed.
That is true. You do pass.
Yeah, I can just go right to bed.
This is your big sister now throwing you under the bus. So like, didn't think twice about doing that. So what about at the start of an investigation? Do you go in prepared? I know you've got a history background, Corinne, but do you do your research, or do you prefer to go in blind?
We go in blind. We really don't want to know ahead of time. I know, like, and that's the thing. I have a history degree. I teach history, but in high school, you're teaching, like, you know, the Renaissance, the medieval times, way back in the day. So, like, it's not so much places that we're going to, especially here in Canada right now. I just prefer not to know, because then whatever we go in getting, it's like a fresh slate for us, and we can actually see if we can validate it. If we go in knowing, it also kind of like creates a bias, because you go in, you're like, is it a little boy? Is it what they said? So, like, we would even, like, we try not to hear too much even from witnesses beforehand. We like to meet with them kind of afterwards and say, like, what did you experience? Because this is what we got, and does it correlate? You know, oftentimes, you know, some things, like, you know, you're going to, like, this house here, but, like, we don't do the research, no.
Yeah, and if you go into somewhere, sorry, go on. Sorry, Leanne.
I was just saying, sometimes the format is different, like where we're told to do the research because we won't have a witness with us, we won't have access to information. So we go in trying to, like, it's super rare, but like we have done that too. But I think we prefer going in blind, and then it's more exciting when things like are revealed. Yeah,
because it's a little bit different with like going to the Alamo or going to Salem, where there's a lot of history that's already out there. You know, if you don't know anything about those two places, you've probably been on another planet for the last like 100 years or whatever. So that must be very difficult compared to fresh locations, because I prefer to do my research, but I don't have any abilities of what I know of. So if I can communicate with somebody and I've got the name of John or whatever, I know then that if we get a positive like EVP and we come through as a John, and I've got a second name or I've got a time period, that kind of concretes the evidence for me. So that's the way that I actually go about doing it. But that's but I know that everybody's completely different.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know even when we were filming History's Most Haunted, I remember in I think it was New Orleans, we were in that bed and breakfast, the most haunted B&B in America, and we didn't want to know anything going in. And so we talked to the owner briefly at the beginning, but then, I remember walking in and automatically I'm like, well, here I go. I have a reading. Apparently I was doing what I do, biting and tapping, and here we go. So I did my reading, but then as soon as that ended, it was like, okay, there's something else in the house. And I remember, I think it was you, Leanne. We didn't know anything about it. And you finally, there was on the landing, you were asking, you set up a REM pod, you had the obelisk, and you were asking if anyone was there. And on command, it said, was it John? I think it was. And then the REM pod was going off. And they were like, can you do that? Like, if that is you, John, can you step and turn that on again? And on command, it was happening. And we were hearing footsteps. And we're like, well, who is this John guy? So it wasn't until we debriefed with the owner later that she's like, oh, well, that was the oldest son of the original family that died in the room that you guys were standing in on the second floor where it happened. We're like, what? Like,
yeah, so those are the cool moments. Yeah.
Yeah. So those kind of moments, it's like, yeah, we don't want to know if we don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause like if we get new people coming with us, I always kind of tell them that if you're going to use the obelisk or if you're going to use any other spirit box, whatever, the words that come out have to relate to the investigation that you're on. You just can't come out with random words and go, oh, I just got beefcake, and it's completely irrelevant to the investigation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So before we go into what's happening in the next couple of years, because you've got some exciting stuff coming along, I've got one kind of final question for you. So knowing that all three of you have got exceptional talents, and I'm extremely jealous, so let's not go there. What would you say is the biggest thing that you've learned from that and from each other? God, say it, Corinne. That's a really good question.
It is, though.
I like, for me, over the last 10 whatever plus years, like, it's just been trusting myself and like just leaning into knowing that this is like whatever I'm sensing, feeling, it's legit and it's happening to me. And then having the validation from the team is pretty powerful. Like, that's like just having that loop, like it's like instant feedback, so like that's something for me, I guess I would say.
Yeah, and to piggyback kind of on that too, I think for the first time ever, I know we talk about being our own authentic selves, and I think this is the first time that I do feel like I can be, especially having Leanne and Kelly when we're investigating. I've learned so much from both of them while we're there, because and when I'm getting something, I was always so used to internalizing and processing it myself and not sharing. And now they're like, "Hello, what's happening? Tell us what." Oh, right. So now I'm like, yeah, they're like, "Oh, yeah." So now I'm like, "Right, I can tell you." So like, it's been a process for sure over the last 15 years of, now I can trust them, and I share more, and I trust in it, and I can be my true authentic.
And that's it. Because there's three of you, you've got your own abilities, but you're a solid core, and each one can trust the other. And I think that's one of the most important things, that teamwork at the end of the day. You're working together. You're not working independently from each other.
Yeah, and if someone's like, we've all said in any investigation, and there's been some times where we've questioned whether we should pull something, but if one of us is having an experience that we don't think is safe, or it's going too far, or we're pushing it a little too much, where we're not sure what could happen next, it's unanimous. If one person wants out, we're out. Like, it's just no questions asked. We just know. And I think that's also a huge relief, knowing that they have your back in any situation. So
apart from when you leave a building and you send your little sister in to get the equipment.
That one time.
Or apart when you're in like a submarine mine and you say, "You should stay here."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then you leave me alone down under the mine while you guys go get gear.
Yeah.
So you've got trust with a certain amount of throwing each other under the bus.
Right. That's sisterly love.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got some exciting things happening in the next couple of years. Corine, you just started your personal readings. How's that going?
It's going pretty good. It's not so much readings right now. We're just doing spiritual chats to kind of, people have a lot of, they have a lot of things they just want to talk about. So that's been great. And we are also announcing, like you said, we're doing the Secret Ireland tours in May 2026. So there's 25 spots available, and I've hand selected with May, the owner. We've picked some cool itinerary spots where we think I'll be able to elaborate on more later, but it'll be super fun to travel with people who want to go and explore all these cool places. So we've got that coming up, and then we also have another special. I'll turn it over to Leanne for that one.
Yeah, so we're actually pretty quick here. We're heading to Ireland to film a Halloween special that will be released this year on T&E. So we're working with Small Army Entertainment on that. So we're all just packing our bags here and getting ready to go. And then we're also heading to Thunder Bay Paracon this October. So that's the Canadian Paracon. So we'll be speaking there and doing some stuff. And I think we're just filling up our calendar this year with some paranormal events.
Well, we have Comic Cons over here in Montreal, Ottawa, and Winnipeg, and I'm going to do some elbowing of the powers that be to see if we can bring you over.
Amazing.
Can't guarantee anything, but I'm going to twist a few arms and to see. Number one, it'll be different for you guys because we've actually got a table there. So if we could get you at the same location where we are, you've got two different aspects. So I'm not going to promise anything, but I'm going to start twisting through a few arms to see if we can actually bring you to Ontario and to come and join us at a Comic-Con convention.
That'd be super fun.
Could that be cool?
Thanks, Lee. That sounds fun.
We can share more of our Montreal stories while we're back there with you.
Yeah, Montreal was wild.
Yeah.
So Leanne, when you get a quiet moment, can you tell Corine not to do an Irish accent because it's not very good?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
okay, ladies.
I don't need a quiet moment for that. I'll just post it on social media. Yeah.
Okay, I double dare you. Okay, well, unfortunately, I could talk to you guys all night, but our time has come to an end. So I thank you both for taking the time on a Sunday afternoon. And it's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope to see you in Ireland next year.
That would be amazing. Can't wait.
I'll just nudge the wife again. She's nodding. Oh, I've got the thumbs up. So yeah.
Okay.
So you can Leanne, are you coming to Ireland next year, or just Corine?
Right now, it's just Corine.
Yeah. Sorry.
Come on. We've got to get this. Okay, ladies, it's been an absolute.
What can happen? Yeah.
Yeah. Still time, right?
Exactly.
You can book one of the available seats.
Oh, we'll talk.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope to talk to you guys very soon.
Thanks
very much. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Bye.